Up on a ridge he rested as he went along his way. When all at once a mighty herd of red-eyed cows he saw, a-plowing through the ragged skies and up a cloudy draw. Yippee-yi-ay, yippee-yi-oh, the ghost herd in the sky. Their brands were still on fire and their hooves made of steel.
And on that hooves made of steel, good morning, everybody. How y'all doing today? It is a Wednesday. I was up all night. I got an IV in my arm. I got a nurse running around the house. And I got some things to say today. So, yes, my nurse is here today. I am undergoing my infusion as we speak. So, this is going to be one of them days. You'll hear me talking. Yeah, if I go mute, it's because I got to talk to my nurse about some personal things. All right? There's some parts of my life that, well, some things y'all just don't want to hear about, to be honest. But that is what it is. Anyway, I've got some things I want to talk about today. Y'all know me. I've always got some things I want to talk about. And let's see here. Let's start off here with the Attorney General of New York. Okay, let's start off with that lady. Yeah, because we all love that Attorney General of New York. She's just such a wonderful person. Yes, she is. New York Attorney General Leetta James is hosting a drag story hour in New York City this Sunday that families with children are invited to attend. James recently announced that she and other state elected officials will be hosting the drag event. And of course, are claiming it's going to be geared towards families. But we all know when the left says something is geared towards families, you know, that's a red flag because, well, they have a tendency to say things are geared towards families, and you got male organs being exposed to children, which just not a good thing. You know, no child, especially a child under the age of 17, should ever be exposed to the children. By the way, good morning, Ramen and Duck Dog. He has just fallen one of the most atrocious crimes against humanity. He slammed and flared. Audi Q7. Hey, Badger, good morning. What is okay? I am a little bit on the lost side. What are you meaning about the Audi Q7? He slammed and flared. Audi Q7. That's gone right over my head. Oh, Earl Ramen, I knew I forgot to do something. Let me get over here to Twatterverse. Whoops, not there. Here we go. Let me go ahead and paste that real quick. Okay. I'm back over here. Make certain that's right. Okay. Ah. It said families with children are invited to join Attorney General James, drag storytellers, and city and state elected leaders. In the caption for the Instagram post, James declared that my office is proud to host Drag Story Readathon on Sunday. That also features several groups are co-sponsoring the event put on by the drag group Drag Story Hour NYC. Among them, the Pride Center of Staten Island, Queens Public Library, Brooklyn Public Library, the Destination Tomorrow, a grassroots LGBTQ organization in the Bronx. State senators are showing up, assemblywomen are showing up. Yeah. And what's funny is, they make an issue here that James's event was announced around the time that Florida Governor DeSantis' administration officially moved to revoke a major Miami hotel liquor license for exposing children to sexually explicit content by way of a Christmas-themed drag show last December. According to a legal complaint filed by the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation, the full support of the governor, the Hyatt Regency, and that's the Hyatt. That's not a mom and pop operation. The Hyatt is not mom and pop at all. And they had a drag show that hosted a sexually explicit drag show entitled A Drag Queen Christmas. So, and of course, this gets around on the internet. Um, a few good points here. Like that. Let's see here. Judge Alex Farah. Grown-ups want to dress and drag, more power to them. Hey, I don't care. You want to dress and drag as an adult? Great. But agree with this statement. What is this fascination with wanting people to bring their kids to your drag show? I wouldn't want, I mean, why not take them to a burlesque? If you want your kids to see naked women, take them to a burlesque. At least that way they'll see real women, and you don't have to worry about dangly parts being exposed to them and confusing the kids. You know, boy growing up want to know if he's going to grow up big with big boobs like that guy he saw on stage. The popular, okay, I've never heard this nuance, bro. But his response, it's just on the fringes, they said. Just a few instances blown out of proportion, they said. Yep. What is the purpose of the government? Sean, I'm not going to disagree with you there, uh, contributing to the delinquency of minors. I'm not going to argue that point with you at all. I don't understand what in the hell these people are getting out of sending kids to see dragons. I just don't get it. What is there about, I mean, and especially what is passing for drag queen shows now, where they're nothing more than a strip, what you'd see at a booby bar, except it's men up there wearing falsies. And I'm not going to put on my screen here You all have seen the pictures of what these guys are doing out there. I'm not going to pull them up on my screen. All right, but it's just it's filth, and I don't care. I mean, I won't go see it. But if you want to go see some guy dress up as a woman and put on a sexy show, that's up to you as long as you're an adult, 18 and over. If that's what flips your trigger, more power to you. But you should not be exposing children to that any more than a child should be exposed to a woman getting up on stage and doing the same thing. Let our children remain keep some sort of innocence about them. I mean, we've all seen. I mean, what good does it do? What good does it do a child to see, to be exposed to such sexuality at 3, 4, 5 years old, other than grooming them into being, uh, grooming them into proclaiming, well, I'm gay too, or I'm bi too, or I'm trans too, just to fit the popular uh, thing. I mean, it's like everybody being a greaser in the 50s, and then the 60s, the hippies and flower children. I don't know what it was in the 70s. One was goth really big, and all the emo kids. Okay, now there is no reason for all this stuff to be going on, and all it is peer pressure to get the kids, because you know to say that they are this stuff. And I'm sorry, but any adult sexualizing a preteen like that, I've got some stuff in Minecraft that needs to with their names on it. So, and since this is a catch-up stream, I'm going to be all over the place today. Oh, Lord, 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 no, no, I didn't do that. Okay. And sticking with New York, but this time we're going to New York City. New York City mayor says he needs support from Biden as vendors slam decision to open new migrant shelters. Remember, New York, shelters. We are a sanctuary city. We believe in illegals. Nobody's illegal. Everybody's got the right to come to the United States. They're just coming to improve their lives. They're all good people. And then he gets pissed off, and New York gets really angry when Texas starts shipping illegals. Hey, old Abbott sitting there in his wheelchair and going, hey, all you illegals, how many of y'all want to go to New York City? Look what they're promising you. Well, oh, getting ready to open me up wide?
Yep, wide open.
All right.
Be rocking and rolling, man.
Rocking and rolling.
All right.
Get this bottle emptied.
It won't take long,
Badger, you're exactly right. The NIMBY is strong with these because they got a little upset with just a few busloads of illegals. So the mayor has openly expressed his frustration at the lack of meaningful assistance provided by the Biden administration to help curb the issue that's been burdening the city's resources and residents for months. Well, good God, for 2 years, Texas and Florida, Arizona, and even California has been having issues being burdened with illegals coming across the border. Now, 2 more migrant shelters are set to pop up in the busiest part of town. The vacant Candler Tower office building in Times Square that once was home to a 24-hour McDonald's will now house hundreds, if not thousands, of the city's illegal migrant population. They actually use the word illegal. They call them as what they are, illegals. The fast food joint, once billed as the busiest and most profitable models of McDonald's, shut down during the COVID in June 2020. The building's owner, UK-based investment company Epic, signed over the deed last March to avoid foreclosure. Times Square is going to be housing illegals. Now remember, Rudy Giuliani went in and cleaned up Times Square, made it profitable. Remember, Times Square was a dump before Giuliani became mayor. And he went in there at the broken window theory. And for y'all who don't remember the broken window theory, it was if you take care of the broken windows, the small crimes, the big crimes will sort themselves out. But you got to take care of the broken windows. Take care of the broken windows first. Start cleaning up what's out there. Giuliani went in there and cleaned up Times Square, turned it from a cesspool into home to the most profitable and busiest McDonald's in the country. Then New York went and shut down the entire damn state and the entire city for COVID. Remember, after they claimed that Trump was being racist about shutting down all immigration from parts of China. Morning, Parody Bear. How you doing today? Glad to see you stop in. The other shelter will be located in a 6-story commercial building in Brooklyn. Yeah, don't that look just absolutely wonderful? That is what New York is. That's how they're housing the illegals in New York right now. Oh boy, could you imagine if that was a Republican mayor housing illegals like that? The left would be up in arms. But you have a black Democrat mayor, so they aren't going to say squat about it. Other than, well, we're not getting enough money from the federal government, and then blame it on Abbott. Adams is picked. Okay, Adams there. There he is. Most of the other 103 emergency shelters being used to house migrants, illegals, across the city are located in hotels. One Indian illegal immigrant works at a newsstand near the defunct McDonald's, said that the migrants may soon be a boon for his business, but could potentially boost crime. Potentially boost? Potentially? Come on. Get real. Of course, crime's going to go up with all those illegals there. Huh. Sean, I just say put them on the ship and send them back south of the border. Just put them on the ship and send them south of the border, back where they crossed the border from. Don't need to send them to Cuba or Russia. Just send them back to Mexico. Let Mexico deal with the problem that they tried foisting off on us. If Mexico would enforce their own border laws on these migrants and stopped them at their borders like they were supposed to, we wouldn't be having our problem. But no, Mexico allowed these people, as long as they were heading to the U.S. border, to travel on through. I love this here. City Councilman Robert Holden of Queens, a Democrat, offered up his frustration with the mayor's move to house even more migrants. Illegals, stretching even further the city's already drained resources. We're now going to house them in retail spaces, commercial spaces. Where does it end and when does the taxpayer get a break here? We've been asking that question for 2 frickin' years there, Mr. Holden. When is the tax? I've been actually asking that question for about 20 years. When are we going to get a break from dealing with the illegals? Remember, Reagan made a deal with the Democrats back in the 80s that he would give amnesty to the illegals. There was like 2 million illegals in the country at the time that we were known. He would give those illegals amnesty with the condition that the Democrats would support border security. And this is the one time he didn't live up to his trust but verify motto. So one time he didn't, and Tip O'Neill and the Democrats shat all over it. They never upheld their end of the deal. Oh, Parrot, yeah, no, I'm all about putting the commies and socialists on that. Now, we could put the commies and the socialists on those ships and send them to Cuba or send them to Russia or send them to North Korea or send them to China. Now, that I could get behind. That I could get. You just find the people with this Soviet sickle and hammer tattoos, send them to Russia, send them to Cuba. Send them to these communist and socialist countries they want. Send them to Venezuela. That may be a little too close, but send them to these countries and let them figure out what it's like. This is the problem that the Biden administration created, and the government should foot the bill and have a plan to house and feed them. You know, Councilman Holden of Queens, why aren't you talking to Schumer and saying, hey, why are we having this problem? Because y'all are letting all the illegals cross the border. The problem is that the Schumer and the Pelosi and crew allowed all these illegals come across the border. And Mayorkas, my God, that man needs to be impeached and thrown in jail. He needs to be impeached and thrown in jail. That's plain and simple. The city is estimated that it's going to spend $4.2 billion on the illegal migrant crisis. And yes, when you hear me say illegal most times in this story, I'm adding that word illegal. Because you know damn well these Democrats, the liberals in the media, when they say migrant crisis, they're definitely talking about the illegals. More than 50,000 illegals have arrived since last spring, more than 30,000, that number being cared for by the city. That's what crosses the border in a day, in a week. That's what crosses the border in a week down there along Texas and Arizona borders. Didn't hear nobody from New York uh, whining about that then, saying anything about it other than we welcome the illegals. We welcome them. They're nobody's illegal. Now it seems like they got a problem. Yeah, literally, you're exactly, Neil. Literally truckloads of people crossing that border at a time. We the mayor recently said we continue to do more than any other city in the nation. Ah, bull. Bovine fecal matter there, Adams. Quit lying. But as the number of asylum seekers, illegals, continues to grow, we are in serious need of support from both our state and federal governments. The only support we need from the federal government is shutting down the border there, Adams. And if they were truly asylum seekers, they would have followed our laws in seeking asylum. Most of them passed U.S. embassies before they ever got to the U.S. Mexican border, to where they should have stopped in and done the paperwork seeking asylum. And they crossed the borders illegally. How can somebody crossing the border illegally be considered, even considered, to be eligible to be an asylum program? When you don't give enough of a damn about our laws, that you're willing to cross our borders illegally, why should we give you asylum status when you don't care about our laws to start with? The very basic laws that every country has is about who can cross their borders and how to cross your borders as either a citizen or a non-citizen. That you do it illegally, and then you want us to support you on our tax dollars when you broke into our country? It was recently revealed the city's Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office is fully booked through October of 2032 to process migrants seeking asylum in the U.S. Fully booked through 2032. The near decade long backlog means that some migrants without violent asylum claims may select New York in an effort to avoid facing an immigration judge, possibly forever. They shouldn't be facing an immigration judge. Where's your passport? Oh, you don't have a passport. You're here illegally. Deport them. Put them on that ship and send them back south across the border. Put them on a ship. When the ship gets full, sail it south. Unload it, bring it back up, park it in the harbor again, fill it up, send it south again. Exactly, Sean. The new sites are designed to accommodate as many 1,200 single men in congregate settings. Remember when they first started, when New York first started getting these illegals in up there? They they made up these real fancy areas with televisions and telephones so they could call back home, and PlayStations, Xboxes, and culture. They brought in professional chefs to make sure they had culturally appropriate foods. They're going to show us, the rest of America, how to deal with illegals. Remember that? Sure as hell didn't last very long, did it? Exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. Stop them from coming across the damn border. And I'm long past the point where I say put active duty military on our borders. I'm long past that point. If we can't put active duty on our borders and put the guard on the border, let the states put the states put the guards on the border. Do it. Just like I'm a firm believer that we need to, and as you're, this is one of the very few times I think government taking should happen. A few hundred yards, you know, maybe even as much as 500 yards of property all along the southern border should belong to the federal government. Yes, whether you like it or not, hundreds of yards that is going to belong to the federal government to be fenced up and patrolled and have signs up. Use of deadly force is authorized to stop these people from crossing our borders illegally. You nurse.
Yeah.
Oh, nursey, you are allowed to talk. These people,
Okay.
these people are allowed to hear your wonderful voice.
Okay.
I've got a great nurse, guys. I really do. She she's got a great sense of humor. I've been really lucky with the nurses I've gotten to do this mess for me.
Especially the ones that stick you 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, that was a day. But you guys think you hear it from me. This poor lady when she comes in and she's got the conversations her and I get into, man, she she hears my rants like you wouldn't believe.
On those 6 hour runs, 5 hours.
So
Okay.
I got a great nurse though. Hey CK, how you doing today? Yeah, we're talking about that. Oh, I forgot to shut off my ringer on my phone. I apologize, people. Yeah, I just got a phone call from Washington D.C. that said potential scam. Every call out of D.C. is a potential scam. Oh, but if that isn't enough issue here, oh, Nursey, yeah, I can't do the who is that the off of Oh, now I can't remember the name of the stupid cartoon. Had the three kids, two boys and their sister. And the one kept going, "Oh, nurse." But see, but the administration is getting into a little bit of legal problem over this whole thing, over what they've been doing with the illegal immigrants. Federal judge to Biden's DHS and the mass parole of illegal aliens. In a scathing opinion on Wednesday that questions the credibility of the Department of Homeland Security, U.S. District Judge T. Kent Wetherill for the Northern District of Florida has put a stop to the Biden administration's parole plus alternatives to detention policy that has been illegally releasing hundreds of thousands of aliens, illegal aliens, into the U.S., concluding that it violates the Administrative Procedures Act. Remember when Trump tried to end DACA, and the judges came in and said, "Sir, you can't end DACA because you violated the Administrative Procedure Act." Even though Obama started DACA with the stroke of a pen, didn't have to go through any kind of procedures to do it. He just did it. Trump didn't jump through the right hoops. Hey, Dana, good morning to you. Hello, nurse. There you go. That's what I was trying to think of. That was the line I was trying to think of. Thank you, Sean. You would think, Sean, but come on. Do you think Ray is going to do anything? Do you think Garland's going to do anything? Hell no. In Florida versus the U.S., the state of Florida is claiming the DHS is violating the mandatory detention required in federal immigration law by releasing aliens en masse through various non-detention policies, including parole plus ATD policy and the exercise of prosecutorial discretion. The Biden administration that the discretion not to detain aliens, illegals, notwithstanding the mandatory language of the federal law. Parole plus ADT is the Biden administration's name for one of its main parole programs under its general catch and release policy, which Obama administration also used, but President Trump ended. Federal immigration law could not be clearer about the illegality of what DHS is doing. Section 1225, Title 8, U.S. Code says aliens who arrive without proper admission documents are subjected to expedited removal without further hearing or review. In other words, they are to be turned back immediately. If aliens arrive illegally, claim they are entitled to asylum because they're being persecuted, the statute says aliens shall be detained pending a final determination of their claim is valid, which in the overwhelming number of cases is fraudulent. In other words, they're lying their asses off. In all other cases, unless the immigration official determines that the alien is clearly and beyond a doubt entitled to be admitted, the alien shall be detained for removal proceedings. Once again, if the left was just following the law as it was written, we wouldn't be having half the problems that we've got. Yakko, right. Thank you, Data. And the maniacs, yep. The left rarely wants to follow the law as it is written. They always want to find ways around the law. It's like the Second Amendment. They don't want to follow the law there as it was written because it's plain language. We all know it is. But they don't like it. So they're not going to follow it as it is written. But for some reason, there's other things that aren't so clearly written in the or not even mentioned in the Constitution that for some reason they decide that it's going to be, you know, has to be followed according to what they want. Just a few more minutes left on that bubble.
Yep.
Today's going to be a short day as far as infusion goes because we did a few extra bottles on Monday. So let's see, keep from punching her in the face as she tries to do my blood pressure here. Let's see how my blood pressure was 126 over 88 an hour and a half ago. So let's see what it's like right now that I've been talking for a few minutes. I've been talking for 40 minutes. So let's see how high I've gotten my blood pressure riled up.
Talking about people you're talking about a lot.
They're having fun. We're waiting on the blood pressure cuff to calm to get it do its thing here, people. Ah, finally.
3186.
Okay, so it's gone up to 131. Yeah. I'll have it up to 140 here by the end of the show this morning. See, this is what I do 4 to 5 days a week for a couple hours. I get all vent all this stuff out of my system.
That's good. I need to be doing that.
I'm doing it for a couple years now. Well, I've been doing it on a regular basis for a little bit over a year, but I started doing it back in 2019. Let's see here. Once again, though, if the if the laws would be followed, if the border would be protected, like every other country protects their borders, like you protect the borders of your house. You don't let your doors to your house sit wide open. And anybody and their brother just come walking and sit down at your dinner table, rummage through your freezer, rummage through your refrigerator, go through your underwear drawer and see what you got hidden up underneath there. You don't let people come in and do that stuff. Why in the hell do we, as a country, allow people to do that to our country? Just come walking in whenever they want. We shouldn't be doing it. The law explicitly says we don't do it. Like I said, this is one of the few issues where I honestly believe in eminent domain. And we're long past the point where we need to take over our southern border. Sure, help yourself there, Data. Data, go ahead and put it up there, man. I've got no problems with it. If that's all you need from me to help you out, man, that's the least I can do. If you got GoFundMe there, Data, go ahead and slap that up also. Yeah, if you got GoFundMe, Data, Put that up there. Help yourself. If anybody can help, if people go take a look, see if we can help data out. Good people, man. That's one thing we do is we help each other out when we can. Data, it's accepting help when you need it. Okay, I mean, we all get into it sometimes where we need some help, and I know you and I are probably the same here. I'd rather give help than accept help, but sometimes you just got to be willing to accept help when you need it. So, Florida. Now, see, this is where the left got again, the left is a bit hypocritical here as usual. Florida said to have standing to sue since the state has incurred substantial costs in providing public services to the minimum 100,000 aliens who've been released in Florida by DHS and would not have been in the state but for the challenge policies. That 100,000 figure represents the number of Florida addresses given to DHS by illegal aliens being released. When DHS argued the court could only assume that the aliens were in Florida since they a might have given a Florida address but didn't actually reside there. Remember, DHS accepted these addresses. Whether I'll press a government lawyer on why would the self-reported addresses be good enough for DHS to rely on to keep tabs on the released illegal aliens, but not good enough for the court to rely on in making a finding that the aliens were where they said they were going to be. Duh. Yeah, well, hey, if you say that they're there and you're accepting their self-reported address, then that's where they're at, right? You can't have it both ways, DHS. According to the judge, the government's counsel was initially stumped, although the long pause and blank look on the counsel's face does not come through in the transcript before conceding it would not be unreasonable to rely on this data. The judge pointed out that even the witnesses for the Biden administration admit there's nothing inherently inhumane or cruel about detaining aliens, illegals, pending completion of their immigration proceedings. Detention, the judge says, is the surest way to ensure an alien will not abscond pending completion of immigration proceedings, which has become the norm for illegals released into the country. In fact, all the open border policies implemented by the Biden administration, including the release of illegal, were akin to posting a flashing "come on in, we're open" sign on the southern border. The Biden administration, like the Obama administration, and here's where there are those, I'm not going to say I am one of them, but there are those who believe, who assume that the reason why the left is so far gung ho on allowing all the illegals coming into the country is a couple of reasons. One, There are those who believe that the illegals coming across the border will be granted citizenship and will look to the party that supported them coming into the country and push for them to be granted voting rights primarily. Remember, New York and Washington D.C. and many states and quite a few cities have made it legal for non-citizens to vote. That's one of the things that Congress is pushing back on in D.C. is D.C. wants to make it perfectly legal for non-citizens to vote. And they didn't say non-citizens who are here legally. They just said non-citizens. So that would include illegals. Well, Democrats believe that these illegals, since the Democratic Party is the ones that allowing to fighting for them to stay in the country and fighting to give them the right to vote and everything else, that these illegals will vote for them. That's giving them more power. Then there are some that believe that the left pushes to allow all these illegals into the countries. Well, some people have termed it the Great Replacement theory, basically pushing white people, those from European descent, into a minority position across the country because it's just not good for those of European descent to be in the majority because only those of European descent can be racist. And that everybody of European descent in this country is racist. That's a prevailing theory among many people on the left. That if you're of European descent, you're automatically a racist. And if you're of European descent and a male, and a biological male who is comfortable being a biological male and not wanting to become present as a female, then you're the biggest racist of all. So, yeah, there are those people that are out there saying that. Now, whether or not that's true, I don't know. I'm not going to say that that is a true statement or not because, uh, well, that's a quick way to get a strike on your channel is to propose that such a thing is actual the truth. So I'm just saying there are people out there who believe that that's the two main reason why the Democrats are so for allowing illegals into the country and pushing to allow illegals to have a quick path to citizenship and allowing illegals to vote in elections. Because after all, they live here too. Why shouldn't they have a say in our elections? Right? Uh, I really wish I had a palate cleanser here to go into here, but I don't, unfortunately. Because this Biden administration, they really get me going on so many different issues. I've only got a few issues that I absolutely, you know, get my goat up. That just burns me for no reason. Illegal immigration, when I say burns me for no reason, I mean just the thought of them, thought of these issues, and I start getting hostile. Illegal immigration is one of them. The other one I already talked about a little bit, I alluded to, is gun control. Another one, which we already talked about a little bit, is the idea of sexualizing our children, grooming our children, taking over, the idea that parents are the least important people when it comes to training or to raising our children. So anyway, President Biden has decided that hi sweetheart, how you doing? How'd the dentist do for you? They treat you nice?
Yeah, they treat me nice. I have a temporary crown,
Ooh.
and he had to grind some teeth down. So, because I have to call the oral surgeon, hopefully I can get through to him because he's having problems with Delta Dental.
Oh.
But every time I call, they're not there.
Uh,
So now my whole right side of my mouth is all swollen. He says, "Oh, looks like your whole left side of your face was swollen earlier." I'm like, yeah. I said, luckily I didn't have that at the same time.
yeah, really. You'd be double chipmunked. Now you're only half a chipmunk. So anyway, people, Biden has decided that he is going to step in and dictate some new gun control measures. Signed an executive order Tuesday, taking steps to expand background checks and gun safety measures. He's following Obama's lead. Since I can't get done what I want done legislatively, I'm going to do it executively. I am going to make this happen. I am the king. I am the dictator. I'm going to sign this executive order, and this is going to happen. I'm going to infringe on your rights because I've got a pen and paper, and God damn it, I'm going to use them. I'm going to make sure things happen that I want to happen. Tucker did a segment on the two banks that collapsed. It was interesting. I didn't watch Tucker last night. I'm going to have to pull that up. The order will clarify existing federal laws that require background checks by anyone in the business selling firearms, with the aims of implementing almost universal background checks without additional legislation. In other words, ladies and gents, I want to give a gun to my son, I got to pay somebody to do a background check. I want to give a gun to my wife, I got to pay someone to do a background check. I want to give a gun to my grandson, I got to pay someone to do a background check. I want to sell a gun to my neighbor because or we want to trade guns because he's got a gun I like and I've got a gun he likes. We got to pay to have background checks ran on us. Remember Second Amendment? The right of the people to bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, they use the excuse that driving, the reason why they can get away with requiring everybody to have a driver's license and have a driver's license that must be presented to an officer upon demand if you are pulled over while driving is because driving is a privilege and not a right. Driving is a privilege and not a right. Therefore, they can require you to have a driver's license. But we have a right to keep and bear arms only if the government says that we can. Only if the government says that we can. We pass their background check. We pass a check that the government feels makes us eligible to own a firearm. That's not a right. That's taking a right and making it a privilege. End of conversation. That is taking a right and making it a privilege. If I have a right to do something, the government can't do a background check on me to allow me to do it. I have a right to be a journalist. I don't have to take no damn test or pass a background check to be a journalist. All I need is a camera, a notepad, a piece of paper, a pen, a pencil, and people who will listen to me. A way of gathering information and a way disseminating that information. That is what makes me a journalist in the United States today. Yeah, you're right. The Fourth Amendment, Badger. Duck Dog. Yeah, but see, the problem is we got to find somebody who would have standing to get before the court. There's that little bit of an issue. Trying to find somebody with standing to get it up there before the court. It also directs the Attorney General to develop a plan to prevent firearm dealers who have federal licenses have been revoked to continue selling guns, and directs the DOJ to work with the Secretary of Transportation to reduce the number of firearms that are lost or stolen during shipping. So let's take this first one. To develop a plan to prevent firearm dealers whose licenses have been revoked from continuing to sell guns. If he owns the guns and he's no longer got a license, but those are still his guns, what's the government going to do? Come in and confiscate them and pay him back for them? He still has the right to sell his firearms. They're his personal firearms at this point. He may not be able to buy as many anymore direct from the manufacturer like he could when he had his FFL. But there's nothing saying that he can't, there's no law preventing him from selling his own personal guns to other people. You can still sell your personal property. And if he owns them firearms, it was his business that got put out of business and he lost his FFL. If they're still his guns, he's got the right to dispose of them. Now, this is the part I love this. Directs the DOJ to work with Buttigieg to reduce the number of firearms that are lost or stolen during shipping. What are you going to do, Pete? Are you going to say that all firearms have to be shipped in, via an armored carrier? Are you serious here? How are you going to stop guns from being lost or stolen during shipping? I mean, firearm dealers don't like to see their guns come up missing in shipping because usually they order the gun. They've got buyers for those guns already when they order them. That's one of the reasons why I'm having such a hard time finding a judge or a defender. Oh, Pete, I just can't imagine what kind of stupid shit Pete Buttigieg would do here. The Biden administration will now help to expand public awareness of red flag laws already in place in 19 states. Unfortunately, Florida is one of them. Remember, red flag, I love that they got reg instead of red here, misspelling, which allow a person's firearms to be taken away if they consider dangerous, as well as steps to promote safe storage. In most states, and unfortunately Florida too, all it takes is somebody that really knows you to say, call the police, drop an anonymous tip. The police go to a, a judge that they like. The judge signs off on it. They show up at your house at 4 o'clock in the morning, bang on your doors, come in and confiscate your guns. You don't get a chance to go before a judge. You don't get no hearings before this happens, and you don't get a chance to for at least a year in most states to get a hearing to get your guns back. You got an ex-wife, you got an ex-girlfriend, you got a daughter or son that's pissed off at you because you wouldn't let them cut off their boobs or cut off their genitals. So they get mad at you, call up the police department and say, I want to do a red flag on my father or my brother or my mother. You don't have no hearing. Exactly. Exactly, Deck Dog. Red flag laws are in stark opposition to the due process clause because you do not get due process. It can take it up to a year before you are allowed, before you even get the privilege of going before a judge and beg to get your guns back, to prove to him that you aren't a danger. You have to prove your innocence to get your guns back. The state doesn't have to prove anything, they just take them. I would love to see red flag laws uh, because they are unconstitutional, plain and simple. Red flag laws are unconstitutional. I don't know how in the hell the Supreme Court hasn't ruled them as being unconstitutional yet. One bottle down, three to go.
One to get. That one and another one and the baby.
Oh, okay. That's right, because we did do the extra ones the other day.
Yeah. This one and that
And then the baby
one.
bottles.
Yep.
All right. So two full bottles and a baby bottle to go.
I mean, we're halfway. Just about halfway.
I love this. You know, if they're considered dangerous. If they're considered dangerous. Considered by who? Considered by somebody that's got a bone to pick with you. Like I said, all it takes is an ex-wife or an ex-girlfriend or an ex-boyfriend or a neighbor that you got that you don't like and doesn't like you. And all of a sudden, boom, you're considered too dangerous without even having a hearing that you're allowed to be at, let alone you with a lawyer. Took 5 liters of IV fluid. Good God. You're right, Badger. You don't even get a chance to face your accuser because you may not know who your accuser was. Some states, your accuser can remain anonymous. So you have no clue who it was. Information on firearms dealers who violate federal laws will be made publicly accessible under the order in order to hold them accountable and increase transparency. That's interesting. So somebody, and see, the problem with these here on these violate federal laws. As we already know, the ATF the ATF, not the legislature, not Congress. No bill made it through Congress. No bill was presented to the president to be signed. But the ATF can change rules and change their rules, which have the effect of law, and that, and make it retroactive. And boom, firearm dealers or you as an individual have suddenly become a criminal. That's what's going on right now with the gun braces, forearm braces for guns, for people like, well, people like who got nerve damage like I do. That's why I've gotten rid of all my bigger guns. I'm down to 9 millimeters because I can't hold anything bigger than that steady long enough to shoot them correctly. Well, see, these people don't believe that you've got the right to privacy when it comes to firearms. Oh, Badger, don't even get me started on that woman. Sotomayor, she's only read the parts of the Constitution the way she wants to read them. She's never read the whole thing. Directs the Federal Trade Commission to issue public report on how firearms are marketed, including to minors. Well, being as minors can't own firearms, can't buy firearms. Minor guns aren't marketed to minors unless they're going to start calling Nerf guns firearms. Now, do they make firearms for children? Yes. I bought firearms for my son when he was 6 years old for my son to use. And I tell you what, you see some of these young kids out there shooting, they're damn better shots than I am. Some of these kids are absolutely amazing. but they do it under strict adult supervision. So are firearms marketed to children? In a very limited way, I guess they are, because they do make child-sized firearms, but a child can't buy it. States have even changed laws to make it you have to be 21 to buy firearms. You're too damn stupid at 18 to buy a gun, but you're smart enough at 15 to vote, and you're smart enough at 10-year-olds to decide that you're not a boy but a girl, or you're not a girl but a boy, and that you should have the right to take puberty blockers. So you can do more damage to your own. You can't get a tattoo at 10, but you can decide to go on puberty blockers and destroy your body. You see the stupidity of of Democrats, the outright stupidity of them. Let's see here. The judge in California that they're trying to disbar striking down all these ATF rules because they're not legislative. Yeah, I'd love to see it happen. I'd love personally. I think the ATF needs to be disbanded at this point. They have gotten their heads so far up their backsides and gotten so damn power hungry and gotten so many people in there that think that that don't even want they don't believe in the Constitution. They don't believe in the Second Amendment. The order instructs federal agencies to develop more rigorous requirements around using the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network, which matches gun casings to firearms that matches gun casings to the firearms they are fired from, and helps connect different shootings, and asks agencies to issue progress reports on their compliance with the bipartisan Safer Communities Act on gun control that Biden signed into law last year. I got to check into that because when they call bipartisan, I bet it's like Liz Cheney and Kinzinger signed into it. So those two made it bipartisan. Biden will ask his cabinet to develop a proposal for supporting communities who have been impacted by mass shootings and gun violence survivors, including mental health care, financial assistance, and food. The order also directs the Attorney General to work with Congress to modernize the Undetectable Firearms Act of 1988, which is set to expire in December, to make it harder for firearms to be made that can evade metal detectors. Well, personally, I think that bill, it's getting ready to expire in December. It needs to go by the way of the dodo bird. Does does ATF even go after bootleggers anymore? %90 of what Biden here is pushing under his EO is unconstitutional. And it needs to be overturned. It needs to get up before the Supreme Court. But you see, the fear mongering by the left, and don't think they're not. The fear mongering of the left here knows no no limitations. As gun reform stalls, police prepare for the worst. A gunman races across the quad at Southern California University, spraying a barrage of bullets from the barrel of an assault-style gun. Well, at least they didn't say fully semi-automatic gun, just assault style. Every gun, every rifle is an assault style rifle or gun. I can assault you with a 2x4. Is that, do we ban 2x4s? I can assault you with a baseball bat. Do we ban baseball bats? Language is everything. Campus police arrive on scene and return fires. The suspect rushes towards the school library. As officers give chase, throngs of screaming students and teachers flood from the building and into the path of the police. The officers had to quickly assess whether the shooter might be hiding in the group of the fleeing bystanders. Smoke rapidly begins billowing from the library, making an already chaotic scene even more so. By air and ground, law enforcement agencies from the surrounding area begin arriving. Good God, man. When did this happen? What kind of nightmarish mess is this? Overhead, a Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department helicopter hovers as SWAT personnel begin rappelling to the ground and rushing to the sound of gunfire. All this for one person. An officer radios that the shooter has been neutralized, but the work of the first responders is far from over. A cavalry of firefighters and paramedics staged nearby move in and begin administering life-saving first aid to the injured. A senior officer soon announces over the public address system that the exercise is over. The exhausted teams of law enforcement and medical personnel have 20 minutes to catch their breath and hydrate, and the exercise will start again. This was practice. This was just practice. This was only a simulation, but one of many that continue to play across America in this day and age of endless mass shootings. CNN's cameras, surprise, surprise. Who's surprised? I'm not. We're rolling as law enforcement recently descended upon Biola University near Los Angeles during the school's spring break, turning the empty campus into a domestic war zone as they work to hone their active shooter response skills. I don't mind them practicing. I mean, this the teams do have to practice. But when they take it out like this and give CNN and MSNBC unfettered access to record it and put it out there as a scare tactic to scare mom and pop, I don't know nothing about guns, and to thinking that any day now this is going to happen for real. Remember, most of these quote unquote mass shootings are nothing but battles between rival gangs and illegals. They don't want to tell you that, but that's what they are. I've owned guns, you know, over 50 years. I've owned guns, had access to guns, shot guns. I've never been involved in a mass shooting, and I got one hell of a temper that I'm still trying to get under control. Well, whatever be, yeah. They- They're just trying to scare people using fear tactics to get people to support what they want to do, which is disarm all of us American citizens. I always find it ironic the left, you know, the left hates the government, you know. Traditionally the left absolutely hates the government. They hate the police, you know. Hey, you gotta defund the police, but we only want the police to have guns. The mental gymnastics that it takes to be a lefty, to be a liberal, a progressive these days. You've got to be, more reliable than Stretch Armstrong. Play-Doh's got nothing on you. There's got absolutely nothing on how you know, how twisted, how much you can, squeeze this way, push that way, because there's absolutely nothing that you won't believe, no matter how much it distorts something else that you say you believe. I've got in my house alone, we've got at least a half a dozen working firearms. I'd like to have some more. Like I said, I want a judge or a defender. I really do. I actually like to get two of them, but I'm having a hard enough time just getting my hands on one. Law law enforcement. Okay, here. L.A. Sheriff Robert Luna told CNN his teams are continually on guard in the wave of mass shootings that afflicted communities. We study them, we read about them, we learn what we can and what we didn't. Another reason Luna said these drills are necessary: inaction by lawmakers in Washington to enact meaningful gun safety reforms. Read the Second Amendment, Luna. You know, you take away my guns, then I've got no way to defend myself. Then the criminal who doesn't give a damn about the laws has got free reign to do whatever the hell he wants, to shoot as many people he wants because there's nobody there to defend, to shoot back at him. I carry my gun every place I go, every place I'm legally allowed. And I do mean every place. If I'm legally allowed to have my gun there, my gun is there with me. I don't get in my truck to go anywhere without my gun on my hip. because I will not be a victim who did not have a chance to defend myself, especially now. I mean, if I can't physically defend myself because of the things my body's going through, I've got to have a way of making myself on an even footing with the person who wants to do me harm. You know, the great equalizer. And women, by God, every woman out there should be carrying a firearm. You know, you get these left-wing women out there that say that they're afraid of men. All men are rapists. Then why aren't they carrying a gun to protect themselves from all men? That gun makes them equal to that man. It makes them more than equal to that man. You would think the left wing women who claim that every man is a potential rapist would have a firearm on their hip or in their bra or strapped to their thigh or in their purse. And I don't advocate for purse carry. I don't advocate for that at all. I don't think that's safe. I believe your firearm should be on your body. Now, booty bag, I mean, I've got a booty bag holster for my wife because when she goes out and meets her friends for their walks out at the park, my wife's one of three women that has a firearm with them to defend themselves. Now, we don't need gun safety reform laws. We don't need them. We need to allow people to carry firearms to protect themselves from the criminals. We don't need to have to go and beg the permission of the government to buy a firearm. That's not been our way here of life in the United States. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I don't know how much clearer that could possibly be made. See, I'm not real crazy about the CZs, but that's just me. They call them gun safety measures. They're not gun safety measures. They're disarming the populace measures. They're making you a victim, a potential victim, with no way of defending yourself. They, they don't know they don't know by looking at you. Cop doesn't know by looking at you whether or not you're eligible to carry a firearm, whether or not you're a convicted felon. They don't know that just by looking at you unless they know you personally. Now, these aren't gun safety measures because you are not going to disarm the criminal. You're only going to disarm the law abiding citizen. or you're going to make the law abiding citizen a criminal by telling them to turn in their firearms when they're not going to do it. And I know I'm not saying anything new. People have been saying this exact same things for years. And we'll still be saying them years from now. Because the left is not going to give up on taking away our firearms. They're not going to give up on doing it. They're still going to want to do it for a long time yet. And the left's not going to say squat about, well, it's been the law for 50 years that, we're going to, we won't turn over this law because it's been a law for 50 years, because they're damn sure overturning the Second Amendment.
Oh, man.
What's the matter?
Take away the second.
Oh, 15 Senate Republicans and 14 GOP members of the House of Representatives joined with the Democrats to pass legislation expanding background checks and dedicating billions of dollars to public safety programs. So what they're saying here is that's 29 rhinos, 29 Republicans who don't believe in the Second Amendment. I should not have to go to the government and beg permission to buy a firearm. That's a violation of my rights. But you see, the left doesn't want you to even have to present a driver's license to vote. They could not care less. Anybody want to just go up and vote? Don't even have to prove who you are. Just go up and vote. Because they know that their people are more likely, people who will vote for them are more likely to be the ones to legally cast votes. Sure, there are some people who vote for Republicans who illegally cast votes. And I want to see their asses in jail too. And as far as I'm concerned, if you illegally vote and you lose your right to vote, period, for the rest of your life. If you cast an illegal ballot, you should lose your right to vote. Gone. Boop, boop. You can't be trusted to vote anymore. It's a one and done type thing. Just like it is with firearms. You illegally use your firearm, boom, you lose your right to own a firearm. One and done. Hell, you don't even have to illegally use your firearm to lose your rights to own a firearm. All you got to do is have a wife or a girlfriend claim domestic violence, and you lose your rights to own a firearm. That's all it takes. Boom, gone. All it takes is a neighbor to file a complaint against you under red flag laws. Boom, gone for at least a year. Many law enforcement have long been advocating for a ban on assault-style weapons, including the International Association of Police Chiefs, or chiefs of police who say the criminal use of semi-automatic assault weapons pose a grave risk to our officers and the communities they are sworn to protect. Guess what? Semi-automatic. My pistol is a semi-automatic. I can do as much damage as quickly with my pistol as somebody else can with their rifle. Semi-automatic. These people need to get it through their damn skulls. They're talking about taking away the Second Amendment rights. Because after they ban semi automatic rifles, which account for less than 1% of all crimes, weapons used in crimes. Oh no, look at all these semi automatic pistols used in crimes, which have always been the larger number. So then they'll go after your pistols, leaving you with revolvers only. The Democratic Party is coming after our stuff. Exactly, Fury. And by the way, good morning to you. Semi-automatic BB guns. Yep. When are they going to come after paintballs? Okay. That's going to be enough about guns here this morning. Oh, come. All right, I'm caught to. Here we go. Okay, and let's see. Okay, now, and just so I don't like now the left is always claiming that the right is so evil. So you know the Jane Fonda. Got to make certain I cover old Hanoi Jane here. Got to cover old Hanoi Jane. She was on The View. Them old battle axes over there on The View. Gosh. Let's see if I've got this now. Okay.
He likes to create his own films.
So many good ideas.
He does, yeah.
It was her idea to hire Colin Higgins. Jane's idea. There's another Jane in her.
But you know, you in another movie from the same director called Grandma.
Oh,
Okay,
where
here
you
we
played
go.
A woman helping.
Okay, here we go. Here's the beginning of this discussion. And just so that I'm not accused of taking anything out of context. Old Jane Fonda here, Lily Tomlin over here.
Her
There we
granddaughter
go.
raised $600 for an abortion.
Right. Yeah.
Edgy.
He wrote that for me.
Yeah. And you know, it came out in 2015, well before Roe v. Wade was overturned. And now Walgreens, I don't know if you know this, Walgreens won't even offer the abortion pill in 21 states. It's against the law in those states.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's against the law. So Walgreens isn't offering them. In other words, Walgreens is following the law. Oh, shocker, shocker, shocker. Somebody's following laws. They're laws you don't like, but somebody's obeying the law.
All right.
And so Walgreens, I guess, has to follow the law. But we find that very upsetting.
Daunting, right?
Yeah.
It's
What do you
really-
think about it?
Well, I think all the stuff that's gone on with the change in laws and the backsliding in the country is pretty terrifically off.
the backsliding in the country. In other words, Lily, and I've liked Lily Tomlin's put out some excellent stuff over the years. I I'm not going to hold what she says here against her past performances because she's put out some excellent comedy over the years. I'll never forgive Hanoi Jane though. But allowing the states to set their own laws here. Remember, we are a union of 50 states there, Lily.
It's going backwards.
And we have to-
Except,
Yeah.
though,
yeah.
we have experienced many decades now of having agency over our body, of being able to determine when and how many children to have.
years.
We know
You're right. And you can have as many children or as few children as you want. Okay. Because there are ways to prevent pregnancy. Many ways to prevent pregnancy. So if you don't want more children, prevent the pregnancy. You don't kill the child after you become pregnant. Because I would bet every one of you women out there would have no problem. When I say you women out there, I'm talking to these people here on the screen from The View. Have no problem with the idea that a man is responsible for child support for as many years as possible. Well, if he didn't want to be paying child support, he should have kept his zipper up, should have kept it in his pants. Well, if a woman didn't want to get pregnant, oops, no, you can't have that now, can you? You don't want that kind of equality, do you, Jane? Do you, Lily?
what that feels like. We know what that's done for our lives. We're not going back. I don't care what the laws are. We're not going back.
I think the women will rise up.
That's the activist
That's Jane.
speaking, and she probably will get a Nobel Prize.
But it's the truth.
very soon.
It is the truth.
But
We're not going to do it.
Besides
gonna
marching and protesting, what else do you suggest?
Well,
I
it doesn't
thought of
happen
murder.
overnight.
Wait a minute. Back this up. Did y'all hear that?
Besides
gonna
marching and protesting, what else do you suggest?
Well,
I
it doesn't
thought of
happen
murder.
overnight. It's not a miraculous. What did you say?
Murder.
She's kidding.
Murder. That's twice Jane Fonda mentions murder. She didn't say it by accident. Kill anybody who doesn't believe in abortion on demand. And of course, got to step in there and try to cover her ass for her.
She's kidding. Wait a second. She's just
Now,
kidding.
don't say that. That's
Oh, you don't know. They'll pick up on that and
Yeah,
just run
that's
with
the
it.
worst.
She's just
joking.
What do you mean she's kidding? I didn't see that. That didn't look like she was kidding to me. Do you see anything on her face indicating that she's kidding?
Well,
Well,
it
I
doesn't
thought of
happen
murder.
overnight. It's not a miraculous. What did you say?
Murder.
She's not laughing. She's not smiling. She's not kidding. She's serious. She is dead serious about that. Well, as a result of what Jane Fonda said there, GOP lawmaker received death threat after Jane Fonda's murder comments on The View. Representative Anna Paulina Luna, Republican of Florida, told Fox News host Jesse Waters on Monday that she reported actress Jane Fonda's comments on ABC's The Views to Capitol Police and said her office received death threats following the video. I wonder if the Capitol Police is going to go investigate. They're going to, I mean, are they going to bring charges up on her like they want to bring her? I mean, that's a hell of a lot clearer that she's inciting violence. She's inciting murder. If what Trump said incited the riots and the quote unquote insurrection, when he said peaceably protest, if that was inciting the quote unquote insurrection, my God, she flat right told people to go out and murder anybody that doesn't believe in abortion on demand. It doesn't surprise me, but unfortunately for Ms. Fonda, Capitol Police takes this issue very seriously, as do I and many other my pro-life Republican colleagues. I'm sure they'll be investigating. She'll have to answer for her comments. Obviously, we take this as unacceptable from The View. Waters asked if Luna's office showed the Capitol Police a video of Fonda's comments. Absolutely, as soon as we heard it. Most disturbing thing is this is The View. They are supposedly to pride themselves on being a channel that promotes women's viewpoints, right? Yet if you're pro-life, they essentially promote somebody that's calling for your murder. So we absolutely did report this. Luna said, after this clip was posted, our office received another death threat. Then we then had to report to the Capitol Police. So this is not uncommon for the left. They like to drown it out and ignore it. Now, Fonda released a statement. And let me see if I can find this statement here real quick. Because Fonda released a statement here about it, saying that okay, here we go. Here's the story from Jane Fonda responds to right-wing fury over her murder quip. You ever notice how it's always right-wing? It's never left-wing. It's always right-wing. I'm just amazed at that. Anyway, The View was thrown a bit of chaos Friday when legendary actress Jane Fonda said she had thoughts of murder. No, she didn't say she had thoughts of murder. She just said murder. She didn't say thoughts of murder. She just said murder as a solution to stem the wave of anti-abortion laws. Fonda's remark, though, apparently made, I didn't see no jest there. I didn't see her smiling. I didn't see her laughing as she said it. In a statement to the Daily Beast, Fonda responded to the right-wing backlash by stating her remarks are clearly made in a joking and hyperbolic manner. While women's reproductive rights are a very serious issue and extremely important to me, my comment on the view is obviously made in jest. My body language and tone made it clear to those in the room and anyone watching that I was using hyperbole to make a point. Jane, I'm sorry, I just showed the video. Your body language and tone was not one of saying that you were using hyperbole or that you were joking. You were being very serious when you said murder, not once, but twice. Yeah, Behar jumped in to cover your ass, but you were dead serious when you said murder. There was no joking there. But people are going to believe what the media tells them to believe. Just as they believe in the insurrection, just as they believe Trump said there are good people on both sides. And he meant it the way that they said he meant it. Now, this is going to get whitewashed by the media. And soon anybody who actually watches the video for themselves and listens to her tone of voice and looks at that serious look on her face and determine for themselves that she was not joking when she said murder twice. People are just going to say, well, the media told me that she was joking. Since the media told us that she was joking, we just got to believe what the media says. This is truly turning into 1984. Yeah, burger stacked a mile high. Yep. This is so much. This is so bad. This really is. My 2 hours is up. Ladies and gents, Parody Bear, Fury, Sean, Badger, Duck Dog. Oh, McDaddy, I'm sorry I didn't see you pop in. I apologize. I apologize for not greeting you when you came in. I want to thank you all for coming out here today and listening to me rant on this morning. I do appreciate it. And I will do my best to be back tomorrow. Yesterday, like I said, yesterday I had my grandson and I went and overdid it and I hurt like hell last night, but it was worth it because I got to spend a few hours with my grandson. We horse played around and went out and had a lot of fun. So, but I'm not going to have my grandson tomorrow or Friday. It doesn't look like, so I should be back both days with no problems. So, but anyway, thank you all for coming out today. Y'all have a good day. And as always, be with the ones you love and love the ones that you're with.